Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Ray's Roll-Up Report. This is your July 18th edition of the podcast. So I'd like to start with the elephant in the room for today. Apparently, Hulk Hogan has made his return. At Extreme Rules, Vince McMahon had called a meeting for all the wrestlers to come to the meeting, and he dropped the bomb of Hulk Hogan coming back. So Hogan, basically what happened was Hulk Hogan had sat in the back room with everybody, and he made his apology due to him dropping the N-bomb and using the N-word and derogatory terms several times in a podcast, in a video that he had shot with someone. And basically, you know what? At the end of the day, Hogan knows he made a mistake. I'm willing to forgive. Just to let you know, I am an African-American male, and I just want to say that I'm willing to forgive him. It is what it is. People say things all the time behind closed doors. I'll never forget what he said, and you definitely, he'll always have that, asterisk now next to his name, for a lot of people. But, everyone, people make mistakes, people make errors, we all sin. And I think it's time to forgive and let it go. Now, there's a lot of other talent. Apparently, some other podcasters and some other outlets are reporting that the locker room is split or really not really for him coming back right now. But however Vince sees fit to bring him back, I think those guys have every right to feel the way they feel about what he said. I'm not gonna go over it and go crazy about exactly what happened and break it down to detail. If anybody's interested that doesn't know at this point, you can always go back and look up and see exactly what happened with Hogan. But he is such an integral part of the WWE community, WWF as I knew it growing up in the 80s. I started watching wrestling when I was in the 80s when I was a kid, and Hulk Hogan was the biggest wrestler in the world at that time. He was huge, and he was for a long time. Without getting into backstage politics and all that other stuff, that's something for another day. Hogan was super influential to everybody and to the company. You wouldn't have what you have today if it wasn't for him, people like him. But, he did make some mistakes, and him dropping the N-bomb the way he did several times definitely put him in a negative light. And, I think at this point now, I think he understands the magnitude of his words and how they can affect people and how they can hurt people, especially people of color or whoever else you're talking about. So a lot of even people that aren't even even Caucasians, that a lot of people were offended by what he said. At the same time, it's time to move on, and I think Hogan would do himself a big service by just being there and being able to basically recover and apologizing up and down, and he's gonna have he cut some deep wounds, that's for sure. But at the same time, he's on the right track, and he's gonna have to apologize up and down. He's gonna have to do a lot of things to go back into trust with the locker room, fall back into trust with the locker room. He hurt a lot of people, but he's been known to do that. But I just want to state also as well, I am not affiliated with WWE. I don't know any wrestlers. Maybe I know like a couple people, but I don't know anybody huge or anybody in the industry or anything like that, that it's like of any super influence. So it's hard for me to judge as a wrestler, because it's a job at the end of the day. Okay, people, what everybody has to understand is these wrestlers, the girls, the guys, this is a job for them. At this, this is what they wanted to do, but this is a job at the end of the day. And sometimes you have problems with coworkers, and that's a huge thing. I mean, if you had to go look at someone in the face every day that was making disparaging remarks about your ethnicity or your gender, or and then they left and brought them back, it's gonna be a while before they get back in good graces, and that's basically where we're at right now. But I do wish Hulk Hogan the best. I think it would be, the company can only benefit from him being back. It's going to be hard at first for him. There's going to be some backlash, but I think in the end, if he keeps up the way he's doing it, he'll be fine. But if he does something stupid again, which wouldn't surprise me because Hogan's done some crazy stuff. If he messes up again, does anything else like that again, he might as well just pack it up. I mean, take your money you won from your lawsuit at Gawker and run off to somewhere secluded and never return again. But hopefully, like I said, we wish him the best. I wish him the best, and hopefully, and like I said, we can only gain from him coming back. I will also like to say I don't want to get too touchy with this because it is what it is. I think we just need to forget, move on, and not forgive and not forget. How about that? Forgive and not forget, move on, and no one's perfect. We all sin, and we need to let Hogan have another chance, and hopefully he can prove himself and redeem himself. He has a long way to go. Another thing I actually wanted to talk about today that's been is my concern for people like Asuka. And I've been wanting to voice this opinion for a while. I never wanted her to lose the undefeated streak the way that happened. It had to happen at some point. And I understand that she can't have it forever because it will become too predictable. If anybody remembers back in WCW days, you had Goldberg who had an undefeated streak, and you knew whoever was going up against them, you knew that they were going to lose. And it was the same premise with Asuka, and I understand and I get it, but they did so much work to build her up. I would have rather seen her get the title first, and being undefeated and holding the title undefeated, and then who was going to beat her. I think that's fine. I think you could add a great chase with that. I think you could add a great storyline with that. But there are some people who don't think that, and now the way they portray her, it's like a joke. I mean, even that stupid thing with Ellsworth, which I enjoyed, the Money in the Bank. It wasn't a bad match. Her and Carmella has good chemistry with her. Carmella's not the best worker at all, but they put the title on the pretty faces. Hence why her and Alexa are holding the belts right now. I don't want to knock their work rate because I think they do work hard, and I don't want to knock them like that because that's what my podcast is going to be about. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you deserve criticism and it's warranted, I will state it, and that's it. But I just think that someone like Asuka, it's really a shame that she's booked the way she is. And now, I mean, I don't want to use that term buried. I really don't want to use that term. But I feel like she's buried in some way, in some retrospects. Because to book her the way she is and have her, kind of job out. I mean, what should be James Ellsworth? Come on, she's way above that. And I just... Becky Lynch as well. There's, even look at Sasha and Bayley. I don't know what they're doing with them. They just keep dropping the ball on these girls, and they're awesome wrestlers. And I'm not saying I don't want to see a Carmella who has improved a lot, or Alexa Bliss. I'm not saying I don't want to see them, but I'm kind of, especially Alexa Bliss. At least Carmella's only has the title once. Alexa Bliss had the title 5 times already, and they push her as this beast, like she's like Trish Stratus or something. I'm like, this is crazy. I don't dislike Alexa, but I'm done with the Alexa Bliss project, and I think they really need to get that title elsewhere and let her sit in the background for a little while and just and coast. I don't want to see it anymore. But like I said, my main concern is for people like Asuka and other people that come up in NXT. Asuka, the Revival. These people that come up through NXT and then they just, I don't know. Shinsuke Nakamura is another one. I'm like, I watch this stuff and I'm just like, what are they doing? Like I said, I'm a big Asuka fan. I think it was on Edge and Christian's podcast, and a while ago I listened to it, and they were stating how they didn't really see what was so special about Asuka. And it's Edge and Christian. You can have different opinions, but how can I disagree with them? But and I understand that, but I think she's fantastic. And the way they booked her to be this monster. She was undefeated. And then to have her go and lose a very good match at WrestleMania. Probably one of the best matches that night, along with the Ronda Rousey, Kurt Angle versus Triple H and Stephanie match. Wasn't a good WrestleMania by any stretch of the imagination. It was actually a pretty bad WrestleMania. But to have her lose like that, it was just so anticlimactic and so typical of the booking in the WWE today. It's kind of sad, and I don't want to see it. But my fear is, when people like her, I don't understand the end game. If there was something that, okay, you know what, they're gonna build it back up, and they very well still might. But I feel like it's tarnished. It's like it's hard to, in this day and era, you could do this stuff back in the day, and you can get away with it. Now it's like it's just so different now. You could ruin people forever with the way that they're booking. It's sad. But story for another day. It bothers me when I see this, and I'm like, oh my god. As like someone who's watched a long time, you hate to see wrestlers who work so hard and who deserve these spots that they have, deserve the spots that they should have, and it goes to other people. It's almost like, it's just like being at work. It's like I watch this to get away from crap like this. And then I put on the TV, and that's what I see. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm like, it's just disheartening, I also wanted to speak about the whole Brock Lesnar situation with him having the title. It really needs to come off his waist quickly. Quickly. I like Brock. I think Brock's an animal. He's awesome in the ring. He's not a ring general by any stretch of the imagination, but he's the beast, But at the same time, he's rarely there. And then people just destroy and boo Roman. I mean, this guy gets the heat that he has. Nuclear, whatever, however you want to put it. He just radiates heat. And I really don't know why. I mean, I understand, people will say, well, he only has a few moves. I'm like, so does every other wrestler. Like, I don't know what point you're trying to make. People hate just to hate. And I'm not trying to be on here being a Roman defender. And I know I can hear people already on here. Oh, you're a Roman lover, or Roman sexual, I guess, like they say, Braun sexual. I'm defending the guy in a way because I think he works hard, and I think at least he's there every week. And he takes losses, and maybe and I could see him at least maybe losing the title to Seth Rollins or Dean Ambrose or even Bobby Lashley. It could be, and maybe Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, because it's kind of been they can get a piece of that, and it's been kind of going that way. You never know. I'd like to see it go around and rather be on some guy's waist who's basically, part-timer. That cat's per diem. Part-timer. He's barely there, Brock. And I understand Brock's got a contract. Brock can do whatever he wants to do. But, Vince and the creative need to find a way to get the belt off him and let him go do what he needs to do, and he can come back and do whatever he needs to do. I'm just, done with it. But you know what? Maybe Bobby Lashley might win it. Never know. But we all know the end goal is to get that belt for Roman and let him be in there. They want him to be the face. Now, most people disagree with it. To me, honestly, I think he'll do a great job I think he would do a great job with the title. The problem is that they needed to turn him heel a long time ago, and if they would have turned him heel, at least 2 years ago, they could have saved themselves a lot of face. But Vince is still, what it is too, and you people as fans need to realize when you give a reaction, whether you cheer or boo, I can see Vince in the back salivating like, well, look at the reaction he's getting. You're not helping the situation. You think you are. Beach balls and some of that stuff's just disrespectful. You pay money for it. These guys and girls are working very hard to, provide entertainment for you guys. And I'm not saying you're not allowed to cheer or boo. Do what you got to do, but be somewhat respectful. And honestly, I think Roman works very hard amongst the other guys, and he makes them look good. He bumps around. He takes L's. I don't know how much more you could want. Obviously, we know that is a ploy, and that is for sympathy to garner for him, so people will feel bad for him, and you'll like Roman Reigns. I don't know if you people realize that, but you should. And it is what it is, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, the title does need to come off Brock. and it needs to be on a guy like Roman, and then he can give it to other people, and they can pass it along, and we can have some. We may even see some surprises. You never know. Maybe like a Drew McIntyre come along. I think Finn Balor maybe can get it back. We need to get to that point again where we can actually have some normalcy and not have a guy who's basically coming in there, once every 3 months, throwing 10 suplexes, 10 German suplexes, a couple F5s, and walking out, and that's it, So, but I digress. I just wanted to say thank you, everybody, for listening. In the future, just a quick update. In the future, I will be doing, I'm going to try and put out Raw and SmackDown reviews and NXT reviews as well. Also, I will be doing pay-per-views and I'll try and put them out, a couple hours after they're over. I'm going to try and do it that same night. I'll try and put it out that night. Maybe I'll even do some live shows as well. I will get to videos. Eventually, I will do videos, but for right now, I'm going to do audio until I was going to do audio podcasts until I get myself, familiar with that. And, like I said, but I want to be on the YouTube. I want to be part of the YouTube community, and I want to provide great content for you guys to listen to. Please stick with me. Like, comment, subscribe. If there's any audio issues, anything I could change, anything that you guys hear that I can make better, please don't be afraid to comment about it or message me on YouTube. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Stick with me, guys. I'm very knowledgeable about wrestling. I've been watching it for over 30 years, and I'll provide some great content for you, everyone, okay? So I just want to say thank you, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your evening.